I'm Kaden Martz.
And I'm Deanna LaConte. Coming up on today's show,
The latest O-Town sports updates,
this week's TeleOHS,
a segment on Holocaust Remembrance Day,
and a review of Sonic 3.
Stay tuned, you're watching ROR TV Weekly. Hey Oviedo, it's Friday, January 31st.
Let's head over to Marley for our O-Town Sports Report.
Good morning, Oviedo. I'm Marley Moore with your O-Town Sports Report. On Tuesday night, boys varsity soccer won the district championship in a back-and-forth match with Winter Springs. Shots from Ellison Ruffin and Blake Bertot sealed the title. Girls varsity soccer also claimed the district title with a 3-0 win against Edgewater. Mackenzie Becker scored the first goal, followed by Aubrey Thielen to keep up the run. Girls basketball won 57-31 against Calvary Christian, led by Sophie Love with 12 points on Tuesday night. They then followed the streak last night with a win over Masters Academy on senior night. They were led by Josie Harshberger with 19 points. Boys weightlifting lost to Haggerty on Wednesday 50-38. Both girls and boys wrestling hosted Haggerty to honor their seniors Wednesday night. The girls came away with 3 first-period pins, but the boys unfortunately lost a duel. Tonight, boys basketball hosts Seminole for senior night at 7 p.m. Water polo competes today and tomorrow in the preseason classic. Girls weightlifting also competes this weekend in the regional meet at Freedom High School. That's all we've got for you today. Now let's head back to the announcements.
Attention seniors, you have 2 weeks left to submit your growing up photos for senior video. The cutoff date is February 14th. No submissions will be accepted after.
Now we have responses from our last TeleOHS. Let's head over to Malachi.
Hey Oviedo, I'm Malachi with your TeleOHS responses. This week we asked you who you wanted to see win an Oscar for Best Picture. Jay Lee said Sonic. Cooper is hoping for Dune. Jay is rooting for Wicked. Ava believes that Honora should win. Finally, Kaden said Wild Robot. That's it for me, and let's head back to the studio.
Next, we have a segment from Peyton Kane and Andrew Yee for Holocaust Remembrance Day from this past Monday.
Across the world, January 27th is observed as Holocaust Remembrance Day. It serves as a time to remember the 6 million Jews and millions of other persecuted individuals killed in the Nazis' death camps across Europe. The date was chosen by the United Nations Assembly in commemoration of the liberation of Auschwitz by the Soviet Army in 1945, which means that 2025 actually marks the 80th anniversary since the world first saw the whole horrific scope of the Nazis' crimes. Though, Holocaust Remembrance isn't just about the history of genocide, it's also about continuing to fight anti-Semitism and bigotry today.
The Jewish community, I think, remembers what happened and hears stories from their family members, from grandparents. At this point, there's not as many survivors of the Holocaust, but it's something that we remember as obviously a low point in our history, but also a low point in the world's history. It's something that we build off of to get strength when we look back and say, this is where we were as a people, but this is how we bounced back.
It cannot be understated how heavy of an effect the Holocaust had for the Jewish people. In 1939, just before the beginning of World War II, the Jewish population of Europe was 9.5 million. After 1945, the population had fallen to only 3.8 million. The Holocaust will likely be forever ingrained into Jewish cultural memory, and already the tragedy has inspired works from Schindler's List to Cabaret, acting as a creative outlet to express the survival and preservation of the communities and identities labeled by the Nazis as degenerate. And though the German Reich is in the past, its hate is still alive today.
I think that it's concerning. There was a synagogue that the rabbi was harassed, and there's a video of it outside of his synagogue. There was protesters, neo-Nazi protests outside of his synagogue, and he was yelling at the rabbi and accusing him of things just for being Jewish. It's real. It's not something that is in a textbook.
Neo-Nazism has been on the rise in the past several years in America. Organizations like the Goyim Defense League and the Blood Tribe, both founded in the last decade and only having grown in numbers and audacity since, organizing rallies and marches expressing hate for both Jews and the LGBT community, harassing citizens and loudly proclaiming their loyalty to Adolf Hitler. While law enforcement and local communities have fortunately largely been able to prevent these groups in their efforts to harm people, our second best tool of defense against fascists is education.
It starts with the individual, and each individual taking time to be okay with people that are different than themselves. And obviously, we know that people are divided politically and everything else. The point is to see someone for who they are as a person, and don't take away the human aspect of the individuals that are in our lives just because they believe something. And I think each individual doing a better job on a small scale with a small group of people. You don't have to do it on a mass scale to make a difference, to just take a few people in your close circle and start to see them as individuals and not put them in the same camp as everybody else who believes the same thing. See them as individuals and learn how to accept people that are not the same as us. That's an important lesson, I think.
As of 2020, according to the Pew Research Center's last national survey on the subject, less than half of Americans know that 6 million Jews were killed in the Holocaust, and even less know that the Nazis came to power through democratic processes. With Holocaust denial and anti-Jewish conspiracy theories becoming more normalized and more popular through extreme right voices on social media, it's extremely important that we remain educated through online resources like the Holocaust Museum and GNet to stay alert against both overt and covert forms of hatred. In these uncertain times, I've been Peyton Kane with Rho Kappa and ROR TV.
Juniors, on Monday, February 3rd, you'll all head to the auditorium for a presentation to break the silence of drug use and mental health problems, bullying, suicide, and other important issues. Please pay attention to this short introduction video.
Hey, what's up? My name is Nadine Moskovich. I am one of the founding members of Rise Together, and today also the executive director.
And my name is Anthony Alvarado, and I'm the founding member of Rise Together, and we're so grateful that you're going to have one of our presentations in your community. So what we're going to be talking about today is why we're coming to your community, what we're going to be doing with your students, how they can get involved, and the resources that we're going to be providing from our organization that got started back in 2013. For the last several years, actually for a decade, we've been traveling the country and we've educated, engaged, and empowered over 250,000 young people around addiction and mental health.
The goal of us coming into your community is to inspire young people through storytelling, to actively engage them through our engaging seminars, but really to help them break the silence and use their own voices for change. Breaking the silence around topics like mental health and substance use disorders, bullying, suicide, and other detrimental issues that we know our communities are facing today. At the end of the presentation, we're going to provide incredible resources for you as teachers and youth workers to provide to your students so they can continue the conversation after we leave. We know it's very important for us to come in and break the silence, but it's very important to make sure that this conversation goes beyond the stage.
That's right. So we're here to educate, to entertain maybe a little bit, have a lot of fun with your young people and your community. We can't wait for you to get involved.
Reach out anytime if you have questions at WROR.org. We'll see you soon.
Take it easy.
Finally, we have a review of Sonic 3 from ROR Reviews.
Hey Oviedo, this is Dylan Andrews back with another movie review. The year 2024 was filled with a number of notable movies. Wicked, Challengers, The Substance, Fall Guy were all movies released in 2024 that were a rousing success. And to end off a year of great movies was the release of Sonic the Hedgehog 3. The Sonic movie franchise is based off the widely beloved video game franchise Sonic the Hedgehog, with the first Sonic movie released back in 2020, right before the pandemic, and when a lot of freshmen were probably young enough to watch it. The series follows an anthropomorphic blue hedgehog named Sonic who has super speed and fights against the evil Dr. Robotnik and his robot army. While the movies differ heavily from the games, they keep the same core characters and messaging. So far, every movie has introduced important characters like Tails, Knuckles, and with this third movie introducing a well-beloved character of the franchise, Shadow the Hedgehog. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 introduces Shadow to the movie franchise and keeps his characterization and tragic past that he has in the games. Sonic 3 follows a much similar formula to the first two movies, while Sonic and Co. on a mission to save the world from a new threat. I particularly love the fight scenes in the movie. They're perhaps some of my favorites of the entire trilogy. Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is full of action, adventure, comedy, and plenty of references for all the fans. Even if you don't know that much about Sonic, the movie is a great watch for friends and family.
That's all for us today, Oviedo.
Have a great weekend, and as always,
Go Lions.